liberty in America is under assault. We no longer live in a reality that includes property rights. We're no longer the kings of our own castle. We no longer enjoy the true benefits of capitalism. Instead, we're negotiating our rights with our own government. This isn't how our country was founded. These aren't the ideas of our founders. It's time to seize back our country. This is the Liberty Hour, where these important issues will be discussed for the sake of America's future. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Constitution in the other, here's your host, Shawn Thompson.
Did you not turn on my mic this whole time? No, you didn't. All right. Well, here's the good news. I was talking about really good stuff, and everybody missed it because you didn't turn on the mic, Justin. Those yoga pants are too tight. They're stopping blood circulation, as I told you. Only Amy is to wear yoga pants, not you, freak. So listen, what I said and you didn't hear is I was running late because we were all listening and watching the DMV break room, also known as the Muller Report, as you see these feckless, old, inept government employees unaware of things they had written and obligations they were put in charge of. This is much like how the Finance Committee must look. Did you truly spend $500 billion on earmarks? I don't know. It's beyond my purview, which, by the way, what a phrase that is. Who in their real life has ever been asked a direct question and said, it's beyond my purview? I simply don't know that. That is the equivalent of when mobsters are brought up before trial and they plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. Beyond my purview is how a government worker says, I was sleeping, hitting on my secretary, drunk at the tavern. That's pretty much the same thing. And, to look at this Mueller report, I have news for you. I'm watching my daughter, who's 18 and not truly political. Believe it or not, she really isn't. She's I like most of you, have provided a certain shelter that kids don't have to be aware of the realities of the world. So she's got her opinions mainly from the private school socialist teachers that I sent her to. And every once in a while we'll have a discussion, and I'm almost shocked by the common sense she'll exhibit with not much preparation. And I was watching her and my wife, who grew up as a Democrat union member's daughter, voted Democrat their whole life, her mother and father. And I'm watching her watch the beginning of this report and the gargoyle Jerry Nadler. Now, the problem is, it's also not a problem. The problem and the blessing is we're a visual people, which is why we have poker on TV, because we like to see when people are lying and bluffing, and we like to see the people that can pick out the lies and the bluffs, and we watch the game to see how it is. Well, unfortunately for us, that's how our politicians play, too. They're all pretty much bluffing and liars on their own right, and I don't think that's been ever more evident than today. This is a shame. This is a stain on America. I mean that. It is outrageous to see the inept inability of the guy you've told me for 3 years is the most integrity-ridden man in government, Bob Mueller, who is clearly a lying fraud. Beyond my purview, my ass. Are you out of your mind? You wrote that over a 2.5-year period. You spent $35 million. You surrounded yourself with so-called investigators, and the reality is, when we look at you, you lose all credibility. I know your part's all real straight, and your little Brooks Brothers suit is tied at the waist. I get it. But your face cannot deceive us. You're a liar. In the same vein, Jerry Nadler is a con man, freak, ugly on the outside and the inside. That's what Jerry Nadler is, as are most of these frauds with their condescension, arrogance, avoidance of reality and the truth. Now, don't get me wrong. There have been a couple of bright spots. There have been a couple of direct, absolute questions. And I'll tell you, it was game over for me. And I'm looking for the guy's name because, admittedly, I had to text one Dan Proft to get his name. He is a Republican congressman. The hell is this guy's name? Rep. Radcliffe. Devastating. Game over. Just get up and leave. That's the reality of what we've seen. He doesn't understand what he was commissioned with. When he couldn't get the conclusion he wanted because of his own personal feelings, he made up Volume 2, which is an op-ed and didn't belong in there. He used words specifically designed to invoke an ambiguity that led to suspicion. When the reality is, for 3 years, he worked tirelessly, as everyone told me, as a pit bull to find a crime. And what did you get? Bupkis. Nothing. Nada. And you couldn't let that lie, because then everyone would say, geez, looks like a bunch of two-bit slip and fall lawyers blew $40 million with their feet up on their desk as they went to cabareting, which is what really happened. So in the meantime, you have to write Volume 2. And you have to incriminate, but not over the line, right? Like every other two-bit fraud prosecutor who has an agenda versus what he's been commissioned to do. I didn't want to talk about this idiot. But unfortunately, I had to burn up a couple of minutes here, giving you a dissertation of the reality you're living through as these feckless old con men pretend to be relevant. I feel like I'm at a Panera on Saturday at 6:30 in the morning. Got a bunch of old codgers in my way. They don't know what they ordered or what they're going to order. And they just go meandering around just in the way so I can't get to the bathroom in the coffee machine. It's the same nonsense. We call that Congress. All right. On to more relevant things. So, Justin, as I was telling you, I commissioned one Keith Conrad, one of the abled, I guess, bodied, although he looks to me like he should be at a donut eating contest, Keith Conrad, while I was filling in for Joe Walsh, to give me two pertinent clips that I wanted during the Trump impromptu news conference from the Oval Office with the Prime Minister of Pakistan. You know, I understand that's how you got to say it. You can't say Pakistan the way we want to. You have to say Pakistan, as if we were trapped in a car in Boys Town. All right, why isn't the mouse working here, kid? Which one do you have here with Trump? Where's my Trump clips? Justin, where's the Trump clips I asked you to cut, kid? He's not listening to the show. All right. Let's go with this.
I think Pakistan's going to help us out to extricate ourselves. We're like policemen. We're not fighting a war. If we wanted to fight a war in Afghanistan and win it, I could win that war in a week. I just don't want to kill 10 million people.
Now, I'm going to stop it and start it again because this is extremely relevant. This is when I was watching it, and there was something going on there that I thought, this crossed party lines to me, right? Because you realize he's surrounded by morons with the porn mustache like Bolton who simply want a war everywhere, not just because he holds stock in all the companies and is going to get paid by these companies after politics and has been paid prior to him being appointed to this position, but because that's who he is, right? He's the walking face of erectile dysfunction, and he hates to hate and wants war to have war. He is the problem with American government. He's an imperialist. He's a fraud. And he's the same kind of, and he embodies everything because he's the same coward that wrote during his time of Vietnam, he was too important to go die in a rice paddy, but he has no problem sending kids of people he doesn't really respect. See, that's John Bolton, scumbag that he is, and he can't go to the next world fast enough for me. I can't believe this idiot is still in politics after a history of what failures he's had. It's almost like Muller. Anyway, so Trump basically said, look, I'm being told I've got plans on the table. I'll annihilate 10 million people if we have to. If you really want to win the war, a la Hiroshima, but I don't want to do that. And I'll tell you something. I don't know anybody with a rational brain that hasn't been propagandized beyond reason who feels any differently. You realize the kind of innocent people that so far in these 2 wars Afghanistan has had, both with Russia and us, how many kids and women and innocent people and guys trying not to get dragged into the soiree have been killed? It's sickening to me. It's amazing. And for the first time, I am 100% behind Donald Trump because this is his true strength. His foreign policy and his ability to humanize leaders. This is what he does that's a blessing. So during Joe Walsh's show, I wanted this clip. But Keith Conrad, who is a big NASA guy and knows that I question that ridiculous moon landing, he gave me the wrong clips. I say on purpose, Justin, but I'm a conspiracy guy. Let's listen to the rest of Trump.
Does that make sense to you? I don't want to kill 10 million people. I have plans on Afghanistan that if I wanted to win that war, Afghanistan would be wiped off the face of the earth. It would be gone. It would be over literally in 10 days. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to go that route. So we're working with Pakistan and others to extricate ourselves, nor do we want to be policemen, because basically we're policemen right now. And we're not supposed to be policemen. We've been there for 19 years in Afghanistan. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely
and I think
right.
Pakistan helps us with that because we don't want to stay as policemen. But if we wanted to, we could win that war. I have a plan that would win that war in a very short period of time. You understand that better than anybody.
Now, I'm lucky enough to be born in the late 60s. I'm unlucky enough to have family members destroyed by the Vietnam charade where we were the policemen. I remember the protest. Believe it or not, I can remember the early 70s and the turmoil that the country was in. And I remember that phrase, we're not the world's policemen. And guess who said it? It wasn't the same old doddering Republicans you see in Congress today. It was the Democrats of that day. And they were right then. They were right then. As the true people who understand what our government is supposed to do, the obligation of our military, understand we are not supposed to be the world's policemen. Sorry, if you make policies that destroy your own people and you go into a civil war, ta-da, you did it. Leave us out of it. Our citizens, our young men, our military, sorry, they're just too important to die for this kind of nonsense. 19-year war in Afghanistan, and simply because CNN would rather report about Trump and some phony baloney scandal they've created, they don't want to talk about the war. See, if the news media was really what they are, this is the kind of stuff they would be talking about. The stuff that the government is trying to protect us from, the information they are trying to hide from our eyes. This is what reporters are supposed to be in theory. So in other words, it will be like when MSNBC and CNN and CBS and all the rest of them, when they disagreed, rightly, by the way, with George Bush's manipulated information to get us into Iraq, how they ran it and repetitive constantly and inundated us constantly with information. That's what they should have been doing, all the news stations over Afghanistan, where every once in a blue moon, they'll mention the 4 or 5 kids that get killed there in a month. But the reality is that 19 years we've been sending people to this meat grinder where we have no idea. You've got guys trying to put up schools as people are blowing them up. I mean, it's ridiculous to me. Leave. Let them to their own devices. And that goes for the entire Middle East. So this particular news conference, to me, secured his, don't worry about it. It's not you coming in and out that's going to distract me. It's the yoga pants, which you were created to wear, for the record.
Thank you very much.
See? Don't call HR. Don't sue.
I won't.
All right.
I just came from there. We're good. I
Yeah?
like compliments.
Did you file a report? Uh-huh.
My 5th.
It wasn't me peering through the window. I was looking at Justin's head. All right.
So how's your show going?
Oh, it's wonderful. He forgot to turn on the mic for the first 30 seconds. I gave a wonderful dissertation on this comedy act, also known as a DMV break room, Bob Muller. Because, I mean, don't you and Dan, I saw you. Were you doing crosswords? What were you doing during the testimony?
During the testimony, I was filling out an application for Chicago Public Schools because I have been, I'm going to be a volleyball coach at Amundsen High School.
Congratulations.
So which means that I have to get a background check. I got to go get a drug test, which is fine. And then I get to join the union.
Oh, boy.
I can't wait to see my
Look at
pension.
you. Well, pretty soon there'll be a potbelly and crumbs on your shirt because that's what comes with a union membership. And if you're not paying attention.
But I might be able to opt out because of Jansen. So we'll see what I can do.
Oh, look at you. Take a stand, kid. Although, I have to tell you, would you be tempted by one of those phony baloney pensions? I know I would. Listen, I rally against them, and I know they're a scam just like everybody I knew that took one knows it's a scam. But $8,000 a month rolling in with your feet up on a fishing boat, come
I
on.
have to tell you, I know a couple in Springfield. They were both teachers for 25 years. Collectively, they do get $8,000 a month. They don't know what to do with their money, Sean.
No,
they feel guilty because they're simple people. They don't want a big mansion. They don't need
I'm all
a
for
three-car garage. They don't know what to do with their money.
And you know what's funny? I'm
They
all
feel
for
bad.
return
they
on
almost want to give it back.
I'm all for return on investment. I really am. I love return on
It's
investment. That's how
tax-free.
I've lived my life.
Yeah.
But a pension from the public sector is not a return on investment. It's a Ponzi scheme tax on the other people.
Yeah.
You know, if, like for instance,
That's
if
why
you
they feel guilty.
did you know if you put $1,000 in 1994? Now you and I remember 1994.
Oh, yeah,
And
we
if I would have saw you, kid, this whole story
Weren't
would
we
be different.
dancing at the snuggery in
If we
Schaumburg?
did, I'd be paying alimony. Anyway, in 1994, if you took $1,000 and bought Apple stock, you know how much it's worth?
How much?
$4 million.
Oh,
$4 million. So I love that story. Too bad the pension system didn't invest in that, huh? We wouldn't have these problems.
No.
Now, see, I look at it from the investment side.
So you
Because
think
they
it all should go into a 401k?
Absolutely. And you know something? They'd probably do better. They have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
Okay? Where the reality is these people who are the money bundlers for the Chicago unions, they're mobsters. They're bagman mobsters that never want to fight. And they know it's a scam. So they go in and they give them a big campaign contribution. They say, hey, give us this thing and we're going to charge you exorbitantly, but every election season we're going to give you 30% back. That's how it really works.
Oh, I
That's
know.
how you
I
have
was-
a
I'm
stock.
SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah. That's
And
how you have
all
a
the-
stock
All of our
market.
money went to Democratic candidates to their campaigns.
Right, but you have
That's
a
how it
stock
was.
market that's parabolic in 10 years. It's straight up. If they really took the money and invested it wisely, we wouldn't have a pension shortfall. But the reality is they took the money and they went partying, like a Kennedy in Washington. There's broads involved in everything. It's great. Yeah, so go ahead. I know you got it.
All right, I'm going to go work out.
I had fun. Thank you.
Oh, you know what? Thank you.
Anytime.
Yeah, and by the way, my family loves you.
Do they really? Well, they're
Yeah,
all
I think
beautiful.
my sister has a little crush on you.
Well, give her
And you told her, you're
the
like,
number.
hey, if your husband ever dies.
Yeah, if he's
I'm
dead,
here.
you call me up. Can you keep a secret? Because I can't afford a divorce right now, but my wife wouldn't care.
Oh,
First of all,
you're
I'm a
great.
sexual beast all the
Oh,
time.
right.
Every day. You
You're
know what I
such
mean?
a panther.
No one can keep up with me. I need multiple women, damn it. Where's the guy advocating for the adulterers? Jeez.
All right.
All
On
right.
that note,
Yes.
bye.
All right.
Have a good one.
Sure. Come on. It makes the whole world go around, except if you're Justin, who apparently likes fish. Anyway.
We're trying to get him hooked up with a girl.
Yeah, good luck. Something tells me he's got his eye on Quinn. So the reality, I forgot everything we were talking about. See, the pretty blondes, they've been doing that to me my whole life, kid. If it wasn't for women, probably be very rich instead of just a constant money flow to bad habits. All right, let's go with a Democrat to get me back on track.
I'm a Democrat independent. Voted for Obama both times, maintained equilibrium, and I just, and then this last
By the way, before anybody calls my wife, I'm joking. Everybody likes a little joke with the opposite sex. Not really an adulterer. Although if you're out there and you can keep a secret, call me.
I'm a Democrat independent. Voted for Obama both times, maintained equilibrium, and I just, and then this last one, I voted for neither. When the
She's
when
gonna
the
be so
Muller
mad at me.
investigation turned up what it didn't turn up, and in my party has been riding this guy's back for years. I mean, more than 2 years. And I was part of that. See, I really honestly thought that there was some real
Now, can I say something? This is so important because this is a Democrat who has had the reality of the Democrat failure flip him to a Trump supporter. Now, here's the relevance of this. This is before today. Can you imagine how many individual Democrats with the ability to reason and think will look at this charade, as elitists like to say, and say, are you kidding me with this shit? A lot of them are.
problem there. Now it comes out by our own people that that there was no truth to it. And now my ex-party is backpedaling like crazy. I honestly believe that Mr. Trump is going to reveal a lot to the nation. I'm very anxious to see our country be uprighted, to get back into, instead of everything doom and gloom all the time, getting things back up again. I will vote Trump 2020. If this thing goes like it looks like it's going to go, they got me 100% behind them. So
That's big, kids.
Bush's failures, this is my belief, my opinion, I think Bush's failures put Obama in office, and I think Obama's failures and Hillary's failures put Trump in office. What he did for his constituents in promising the things that he promised he was going to do, he's done them. I mean, I'm not a Trumper, okay, but I'm telling you, he's done the Supreme Court. He just has done what he said he was going to do, and you can't ask for no more than that.
I'll tell you what. That's eye-opening. And if you've listened, and if you're listening to this, you've listened to the other shows, I am anti-Trumponomics. It is a lie. It is a scam. It is a fraud. However, the question now is, can you separate it from the economy? And the answer really, honestly, Justin, I got to tell you, it's no. You can't separate it anymore. The people like the lie so much. So guys like me are truly screaming in the wind. But the reality is, who is better off with the corporatist, fraud, Republican version of economics, or the socialist, tyrannical death spiral of Democrats? And that's the conclusion that every election year for presidents we have to come to. And the sad part is you can correct that by focusing on your congressional districts. People still don't understand. I'm amazed. 50-year-old guy I talk to, even my kids, I don't know what the hell they're teaching them. They are unaware of the fact the most important politician in the world, believe it or not, to you personally, isn't supposed to be the president. Ideally, it is supposed to be your congressman. But the American people have been stupefied, or a willful ignorance that they've eaten like mustard on a hot dog, and they just believe that Congress isn't important. So the ones who have really destroyed all of the things that people don't like Trump is doing, Obama did, Bush was able to do, the reason that they were able to do that is because the Congress has abstained from their duties because they never wanted to face a tough question. So they've given them up to the higher office, the presidency. All of these issues, even my issues that I have with the president, he's not supposed to be able to implement tariffs. Sorry, he's just not. It's ridiculous. He's not supposed to be able to say, I'll do $2 trillion, you match me, to Congress. Now, he's given them the number. All they have to do is come in under it, and he signs the bill. That's not the way the presidency was intended to work. That's the bastardization of it. It has become via the ignorance of the electorate. That's just where we are because of the stupidity of us and our neighbors. But all of the gripes I have against Trump are simply him flexing powers and using those powers in ways he was never intended to have. He's an executive branch. It's not supposed to be about the money. It's not supposed to be about the debt. It's not supposed to be about the trade. These are all things our Congress is supposed to do, and they've given up that right. And they did it voluntarily because they understood if they didn't have to put their name on big decisions, they wouldn't have to pay the costs or be held to the fire for those big decisions. So they walk around in their Zanzibar pants, hope nobody notices them, and 80% of their time isn't on crafting bills. In fact, they don't even read the damn bill they vote on. It's on raising money from not just their constituents. Here is the problem when everyone talks about our history of Citizens United. It isn't about just raising money from people in their districts. Now, they can raise money from people that have never even heard of their districts because their vote is for sale on laws and bills that will profit said companies. And none of this is what we're talking about. We're talking about these old codgers questioning each other in a circle jerk. I mean, it's almost beautiful in its outcome of intended failure and absolute and total corruption of the system. Because none of us talk about the really important things. How can it be politicians are able to take contributions from companies that are waiting for their ruling? That are waiting for Congress's ruling. Well, I mean, are we all so stupid as to see a little grease in the wheels isn't going to hurt things? And in fact, if I can grease the wheels of the Congress and allow them to front run their favorable decision, it's not really a decision after all. It's not really a decision. It's a comedy. It's a play. It's an act that they're going to vote to best serve their constituents or best serve the company that is allowing them to become millionaires over and over and over again. And the reality is, how many Congress people are not millionaires when you factor in their holdings? We've tried to put up barriers so that they couldn't profit from decisions they were making. They ignore them. They rewrite the law. They front-run the orders. Their little cabal of office assistants, they're all front-running the same orders. And it's all legal, and nothing happens. So here's the FBI. Muller. Why aren't you investigating that shit, Bob? After looking at you today, it's a miracle you made it to work on, ever. You look like tying your tie would stump you. This is really an eye-opening experience. Behold your government. Now wonder why there's inefficiency. Look at them. Campaigning, self-aggrandizing frauds. Each and every one. Their problem is we're a visual people. Now some hardcore brainwashed LBGTQs driving around in their Priuses and Subarus, it's not going to matter what reality is. And some Republicans as well. Odds are if you're in on the scam, you don't really give a shit what happens. But the bulk of us, the 80% that are not in on the scam, watch, learn, reason, recognize. This is an assault on you, on your individuality, on your liberty. And you know when they come together? Do you know when they really can come together? And now I'm going to blame Trump. You know, and that's the other thing. Can't anybody else do that? I don't hear people do that. Good here, bad here, good here, bad here, bad, good. Can you do that? That's pretty much how all people are, by the way. That's how your husband and your wife and your sister and your brother and everybody you know. That's kind of how it is. The bad far is normally a lot larger amount than the good. However, there's some sort of integrity. You know who doesn't have that? Politicians. And you know how they prove it? Every time they open their frickin' mouth or come to an agreement.
President Trump and congressional leaders reached a landmark budget deal avoiding the threat of a historic debt default. The agreement does not address America's rising debt. Instead, it increases spending by hundreds of billions of dollars. Weijia Jiang is at the White House for us. So, Weijia, the president promised to pay off the debt in 8 years. Have the lawmakers and the president given up on dealing with the debt?
Well, it seems like for now that is on hold. The parties don't agree on much these days, but federal spending is touchy for everybody here because everyone likes to talk about keeping it in check, but nobody wants to cut valuable programs. And what we are seeing is all of them coming together in true Washington fashion to borrow more money and kick the can down the road. This deal allows the government to do that until after the 2020 election. It suspends the debt ceiling and boosts spending by $320 billion, increasing overall government spending to $1.37 trillion next year. Republicans are happy to seal in big military increases while Democrats can protect domestic programs. President Trump announced the deal on Twitter, saying there were no poison pills, implying that the deal had nothing in it he was opposed to, since Democrats have agreed not to attach controversial policy measures to future spending bills. But deficit hawks say the U.S. debt, around $22 trillion, is a real concern, arguing future generations will pay the price. Now, the president, Republicans, and Democrats have all railed against the debt in the past, but Gail, it no longer seems to be a major issue for anyone, at least for now.
All right, Weijia Jiang reporting from Washington. Thank you.
I'll tell you something. That's the most relevant bit of information you've heard in the last 7 freaking months. Right there. That. As the Republican neocon frauds constantly want an expansion of military around the world. Why do you think they guarantee the profits? That's all this is. Can you imagine the stockpile of munitions we have? No one talks about just buy more, buy more, buy more. You've got funding of an airplane that's gone on for 30 freaking years. The F-35, I believe, off the top of my head. 35 years, billions upon billions. Where's the freaking plane? You dragged Howard Hughes in front of Congress. He didn't deliver in, 18 months? You're 30 years. Where's the plane? But how much money has been spread around? Ridiculous. Iran, Afghanistan, Iraq. Saudis seem to come out ahead. We're guaranteeing their price of oil, and we seem to be sending our black ops, the ones off the books, we seem to be sending them to countries that Saudi doesn't like. That's peculiar. Yeah, I know we landed on the moon. Anyway, do you understand the skullduggery that's going on here? Do you get it? And the beat goes on. And in the meantime, $22 trillion, that's a bullshit number too. Add up the unfunded liabilities. Where you said you'd pay people? Wouldn't it be nice if all you talked about was shortcomings and not the obligations you were going to have in the future? I can't. I've got kids. There's no such thing for me, right? Tuition payments and yada, yada, yada. I'd like to pretend on the good things. Here's the government focusing on the good thing. Oh, we're only $22 trillion. But I don't know, Mr. G-Man. It says that we're going to owe like $260 trillion if you did the math. Don't do the math. That's their answer. Don't do the math. Well, how are you going to get this $22 trillion? We'll figure it out in the future. That seems like a tax to me in the future. What about you? Now we're going to grow out of it. How are we going to grow out of it if we can't grow now without you spending $2 trillion on infrastructure? Don't worry about it, toots. I mean, that's how a gangster answers his trophy wife, right? That's what they are. They're the gangster. We're the trophy wife. When we ask the important questions, don't worry about it. Go shopping. It's the same bullshit answer. Don't worry about it. Turn on a soap opera. We'll call it the Muller Report. You see the game here? I don't want to play the game. And if I did play the game, I certainly wouldn't be the wife. No offense to the women out there. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. You sit here and these are the codgers that profit. These are the inside traders right here. Look at them. Pot bellies and stretch marks on their faces. These are the gangsters. I'll tell you, that was the beauty about being a kid born in the late 60s. When I was a kid, gangsters were men. Not these flaccid transgender freaks I see before me. Outrageous. Don't worry, we're all going to be whirlwind talked about the Muller Report and this other report that I told you where they just came together to screw you even harder. That won't get mentioned. Maybe here and there. Maybe here and there. Here's the beauty of what's happening. At least now the Democrats are aware, because that's a CBS news story, which I thought was the real breaker story. CBS is aware of the debt? Holy shit. Who knew that? I had no idea. Instead, let's focus on this
The
episode.
first volume of the report details numerous efforts emanating from Russia to influence the election. This volume includes a discussion of the Trump campaign's response to this activity, as well as our conclusion that there was insufficient evidence to charge a broader conspiracy.
So then why did you write a volume 2? Okay, so we only asked you for that, stupid. Hey, dummy, we only asked you for that. What's volume 2? You know, the one that these idiot Democrats are quoting all the time? Why did you write 2? Because everything you do, like every other politician, is about raising campaign contributions and solidifying the trenches of your political party so the people are not forced to focus on the issues. Congratulations, Mueller. For that, you did 100%. I give you an A++. And it'll work every single time. All right, listen, I've got a meeting this morning because I'm trying to get the hell out of Illinois, which, by the way, there was a bill passed that I only saw on Zero Hedge. Do yourself a favor. I tweeted it out yesterday. It's a bill, just in case you were wondering, is that guy right? Is Illinois really a welfare state? It's a bill of special assessments. I'm going to surmise it here. A proposed special assessment on your real estate property taxes. You know, the ones that are supposed to have to do with real estate value that have nothing to do with your real estate value? Yeah, those ones. You mean the ones that they constantly manipulate, and if you hire one of their inside lawyers, you can magically get lowered? Yeah, those ones. It's a special assessment handed out to all of you for Section 8 housing. What's Section 8 housing? Well, it's kind of like housing, only they don't pay for it. You know, like welfare? Yeah, that's coming to an Illinois house near you any day now. It's on Zero Hedge. It's the Illinois property scam. Educate your damn self and learn. They're going to keep giving it to you unless you push back a little bit. Now, how do you push back? Simple. Sell your shit and get out of Illinois. I know it's easier said than done. Believe me, I've been trying to do it for 2 years. My wife won't leave her parents. I get it. Same boat as you. But you don't have to take it if you're the earner. Go and live in another state. Go and prepare yourself for your future. Do it wisely. Consult accountants because you don't want to break the law. Because here in Illinois, you will end up in the hoosegow. So you're going to have to take it on the chin for a few years, just like me. You're going to have to get raped for earning money, just like me. But that's the penalty for being a free man. Because pride, integrity, and your intellect and your dignity, that's expensive in a communist state, in a socialist political climate. It's expensive to not be subsidized, not be on welfare. But be advised, once you take it, it's like crack. Then you're addicted to it. Then you're fighting for public schools, right? The whole time not realizing nobody's entitled to it. I don't care if you're 5 years old or 25 years old. You're not entitled to it. Pay your way. The parents that bore you, pay your way. We didn't even get into the insurance where the fat slob shoving jelly donuts in their mouth, they're supposed to have their medical expenses covered by me. who went to the gym at 5:30 in the morning, who watches what he eats. Now, I never did a drug. I don't drink, yet I got to fund all the liabilities of these fat pigs. Of course, all I got to do is join a union, and I'll be right alongside them. All right, there's a little closing tangent for you. Thanks for calling the show, and if you didn't call, of course you didn't call, jerkies. Next time, call the show. All right, we'll be back next Tuesday. Even if I'm out of town, we've got arrangements now where I should be able to do something in Florida. We haven't tested it out, so there may be a little technical snafu that I think is coming. However, this is going to be a more Tuesday, Wednesday regular thing. Thank you so much for listening to the show. I do appreciate it.